Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. As you can see, I am dressed. I was just getting ready to walk out the door. I do like a 3 to 4 mile walk around my city of Bristol, Connecticut. If you remember, you've probably seen Bristol, Connecticut in the news. About a year ago, 2 police officers were ambushed. You might remember that. There's been the woman that walked into the police station about 8 months ago and opened fire in the lobby. You might remember that. And it's an average city. It's a city of about 60, 70,000 people. And I'm ready to go out on my walk today. And my family worries about me sometimes. Here's the thing. I enjoy being outside. I enjoy exercising outside. I enjoy the being out in society, seeing people go to work, seeing the sun come up, smelling the air. The possibilities seem infinite when I start my walk in the morning. Like, there's so many things that could happen that I could do today. It exhilarates me. I love being out there. And my family worries about me with everything that goes on, crime and stuff like that. And I don't want to be a victim of crime, but I will not change my routine. I am going to enjoy every single day of my life I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it. And if that means one day something is going to happen to me and I'm going to go out, then so be it. The reason I'm making this video is I feel very strongly. I've gotten low views lately. And when I get low views, I am more open to the options of trying different things on my channel. Because if there's not a lot of views, maybe I'll try something that I've been wanting to try for a while. And the last couple of days, I've been talking about other YouTube channels. My views have been kind of low. So I'm looking at other channels with people talking similar to me, giving advice, talking about their lives. And I've come across a lot of negative channels with guys, men talking. Today, I'm going to use this picture. He is a big, beefy dude with a beard. He's about 4 or 5 years older than me. And he talks about the good old days when there was less, there was less predators and less violence and things were better back then. And I was reading the comments and people were saying, this guy's name is James Tiny Vest. I'll use his picture in my thumbnail. I'm going to say this, I'm not criticizing this guy. I'm not banging on this guy. God forbid, because he's bigger than me. I'm presenting an alternate view. I see so much negativity, especially from men on YouTube, young men, now old men, and I feel that I am blessed after going through over 2 decades of being a hardcore addict, addicted to crack cocaine and heroin, and now being clean and sober. It feels like I've been reborn for the last 17 and a half years, and I am grateful and happy with every freaking day that I see the sun come up. Every day is a blessing to me. It's like if you're playing a video game and you get an extra man. This is my extra man. The last 17 and a half years are my extra gameplay. Okay, so I read the comments, and all the comments in this guy's underneath this video. I'll put the video down below. I've been isolating myself. This bunker mentality. That everything's so dangerous. I'm going to lock myself away and arm myself. And here's an idea. Instead of hiding and running away and locking yourself up, why not be the change that you're looking for? Why not be the change that you're looking to see? If all the good men are supposedly isolating themselves and hiding away in bunkers, then how are things ever going to change? There's so much. I looked up the life expectancy. I see these advertisements for Patriots with solar generators and packs of freeze-dried food, and it looks tempting. It's like, wow, that would be great to have a 3 years supply of food, a generator that runs on the sun. You'd be self-sufficient. Who doesn't want to be self-sufficient? But then, of course, with that comes more. It's a ever-increasing mentality. Okay, so you get the food, you get the generator. Then what? Then you're going to need something to put this in, a bunker, a safe house, a safe room, all right? So a concrete bunker. You're going to need arms. You're going to need something to protect yourself. If you're talking about the apocalypse or, protecting yourself and your family against the coming catastrophes of the world going to hell. All right. And then it's an ever increasing. So how long would it take? How much money would it take to invest in these things, to build the bunker, to buy the food, to fill it up. How many people, am I just going to put myself in it? Am I going to put myself and my wife? That's another thing, is I don't have a wife and I don't have kids. So I might have a more, I don't want to say carefree mentality, you know, but I worry about my family, my mother, my father, my sister, my aunts, uncles, cousins, but I don't have kids. So, you know, because that was the one thing I realized in addiction, is I didn't want to ruin other people's lives. I didn't want to have a child while I was an addict, and I knew that. And I knew that the lives that I was touching back in addiction, I was ruining, you know. So I'm glad that I had enough foresight back in addiction. You know, now I kind of miss having kids, but, you know, so how many, you know, how big is this bunker going to be? Your wife, your kids, you know, this guy's probably got adult kids, adult children, so they'll have children. All right, so your grandkids are going to want to bring their boyfriends, their girlfriends, their dogs, their hamsters, the next door neighbor. Next door neighbor's a great guy. You can't lock him out of the, you know, when the apocalypse comes, you know, he's going to be banging on the door, you know. So where are you going to draw the line? Is it just going to be you and your family, and you're going to lock everybody else out to die out in the apocalypse? You know, where does it end? It becomes undoable. It becomes unsustainable. How long is this going to take? I looked, I don't have it right here. I looked this up. For a 55-year-old man, how long can I expect to live? 25 years. 8 of them in mild pain. 4 of them in severe pain. All right, so at the best case scenario, I've got 25 more years to live. Now this guy, James Tiny Vest, is 10 years older than me. So at best, he's probably got about 20 years on this earth. You know, so you're going to spend that time building your concrete bunker, arming it, putting it, you know, instead of just enjoying life and being the change that you want to see, to be the change that you want in the world. Live your life the way you want to live your life. Don't let society, don't let anything, you know, go out there and be yourself and live your life, and whatever happens, so be it. Let the chips fall where they may. We're all going to die someday. I might die. There's going to come a day when it's going to be my last day. You know, it might be tomorrow. It might be next week. It might be next year. It might be in 5 years from now. You know, more than likely, it'll be in the next 20 years. You know, there's a good chance I won't be here in 5 years. I mean, you look at a lot of people, if you're 55, a lot of the people you knew that were making, like my ex-girlfriend, my soulmate, she was making plans to go down to Florida and live a new life. Now she's gone. COVID, bam, gone. You know, she had all these plans. She thought she'd live another 30 years. You know, live, enjoy the day. It doesn't mean take chances, but enjoy, you know. Don't worry, you know, don't worry about tomorrow to such an extent that it takes away from your life today. Another thing I want to talk about is he talked about predators, and he brought up New York City, James Tiny Vest, and I live, you know, where I live right here. I'm only an hour away from Manhattan. And he talks about how, man, he believes Manhattan, you know, he talks about the National Guard being deployed and all the stuff going on in New York City, and how it's so many predators, you know, today compared to what it was, you know, 40 years. Hey, buddy, no, let me tell you what it was like in 1980, because I went there. Me and my buddies in freshman year in high school, 14 years old, 1980, you know, not even the 70s when it was even worse. 1980, we would skip school. Because I didn't have a license, I'd take a bus down to the city of Waterbury. From there, we'd take another bus down to Manhattan, down to Port Authority for the day. Let me tell you, it was a freaking jungle in 1980. We would get off in Times Square, and immediately, it was nothing like today. Today, it's a freaking Disneyland. This guy, he paints this picture like New York City is going downhill. From my point of view, it's a freaking Disney World compared to what it used to be. Man, if any of you, if you were down in New York City, in Manhattan, in Times Square, in the 70s, in the early 80s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get bombarded the moment you hit that street, 42nd Street, 43rd Street, Broadway, for blocks each way. What you need, Coke, smoke, toke, what you need, you know, dozens and dozens of dealers coming up to you nonstop. I was a 14-year-old kid, nonstop. People, to anybody that looked like a visitor, a tourist, anybody. I saw people hitting a pipe just in doorways right on 42nd Street. You know, now there's a Walt Disney store there. I saw my friend wanted to lose his virginity. All right, and he was that age. He was the age I just said. We walked down. These buildings were everywhere. It was all adult businesses lining. You know, now it's all freaking Walt Disney stores and Targets and Starbucks. Back then, it was all you saw was X-rated videos all the way down in all directions and drug dealers. I swear to God. And this guy thinks it's getting worse. Man, if you don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, my buddy would go there. We went there and we went up into this waiting room, and there was, a big bouncer, a big black dude. And we looked, it used to be like a doctor's office, but now it was a house of ill repute. Swear to God, 1980. And we looked through the waiting room window, and there was about 20 women all sitting in chairs so we could look at them in satin dresses, black, white, fat, skinny. And we pay $20 and you get a ticket. And they'd say, well, pick a girl and go in the back room, all right? Of course, there was a catch, right? So we both paid $20. We both went into our separate back rooms, right? I get back there, and the woman says, well, that $20 is just to get you back here. Now, everything above that is going to be extra, $30 for this, $60 for that, $90 for that, and you got to pay up now or get out, right? So I was like, I knew it, and plus I had already lost my virginity, so I said, no problem. And I walked out. As I was walking out, my buddy, who was still a virgin, comes over and he's like, dude, let me borrow $20. By the way, this buddy of mine, he's now a pastor. He's now a reverend with 5 kids. Swear to God. He asked me to borrow $20 so he could lose his cherry. And I gave him the $20. And the big black bouncer walked me down the stairs. And he goes, I'm not going to have any trouble with you, am I? And I was like, no, man. I was like, no, I knew there was a catch. I get it. So he's like, cool, man. And he walks me out onto the street. I'm 14 years old. Walks me out, leaves me there. My friend comes down later. He is severely disappointed. He talks about it wasn't what he thought it was going to be. There wasn't much love and there wasn't much to it. I won't get too... but he was very disappointed. For his first time, I felt bad. I felt so bad for this guy. 1980, all right? While I was there waiting for my friend, swear to God, this Cadillac pulls up on 42nd Street with this old guy. Looks like, he reminded me of a doctor, bald guy, suit, Cadillac and everything. Looks like a professional. And he's like, hey, I'm sitting on the side of the road, kid, waiting for my buddy to come down, 42nd Street, 1980. And he starts waving a $50 bill. He's like, dude, $50, I'm going to stop right there. Yeah. This is what happened to me on an average day in Manhattan, where Mr. James Tiny Vest thought everything was so good, and there wasn't predators, and New York City is so much worse. No, man, no. Let me tell you, man, there's been, come on, there's been, I'm going to say it, just like you said in your video. People are going to say there was predators back in the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s. Of course there were. And yes, he says that he was there back in Vietnam. Well, he was 10 years old in 1974. Come on, dude. My father was the park ranger at a state park. And I remember what went on in that park. My father had to warn me. He was the head guy in Black Rock State Park. And I remember people getting arrested. I remember all sorts of predators there. I remember them finding cameras and Polaroids in people's tents, in this guy's tents. I remember people harassing me. I remember my own father getting arrested for protecting me from being solicited when I was like 10 years old in that park. I remember race wars, race riots on the beach. I remember streaking was a big thing back then. Yeah, so Mr. James Tiny Vest talking about how the world is all scary and we need to go into our holes and arm ourselves and all that. Man, no. Be the change that you want to be. How is the world ever going to get better if all the good people are hiding in bunkers? Just a thought for today. I'll be back later with another video. I got to go on my walk. I'm running late. I got to go out into the jungle. We'll see if I survive. If I have a video tomorrow, I made it. Have a good Tuesday.